Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam. Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, November 6, 2023, and you are here in the Java Cafe. As many of you know, tomorrow is election day. I have been very vocal the past, decade, 15 years about the importance of voting. Also in this election, I have expressed often my concern about the fact that the council is in its most diverse construction, its makeup, and what's at risk is very interesting. And so this morning, I've been focusing a lot on the at-large race, but also there is a contender in District 7, of which now I am so excited, I believe, to tell who I think is now my counselor. I'm not going to give out my address, but I am technically back in Roxbury over by Nubian Market. So I'll just leave that in that general area. I see her clapping in the background. So listen, without further ado, I would like to bring in the wonderful, the skilled, the articulate, the passionate, the efficacious, the impactful, the impactful counselor, Tania Anderson. I am so excited to have you here in the room with us this morning, counselor. Greet the people. I think this is your first time in the Java Cafe.
Officially. Wait, no. There was another time.
You were with me once before. Okay. All right. But I'm glad to have you here today. We will say, as I mentioned, that this is a paid advertisement. Thank you so much for making this investment in a small Black-owned business, a community media outlet. I appreciate that. Counselor, for those that don't know your story, well, first of all, say good morning and greet the folks, and then tell us a little bit about you and how you landed to be our District 7 counselor. And then we'll get into some of the other stuff to make sure that that stays the case, which I don't. Well, anyway, go ahead.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Jimmy. Love being here. I really appreciate you allowing me the time. I know that it's, a paid thing, advertisement, whatever, but you are not being paid enough. So you don't even have to say that. Like, seriously.
You already got the vote. If
well, get out to vote, because Brother Man has given us a big discount and he's just being gracious. But thank you so much for having me here. I'm super excited. This is hopefully an opportunity for folks to, folks that haven't heard from me or about my policies or my work, that have questions, or maybe I can't see, but you'll probably read them to me if there are questions. My name is Tania Fernandez Anderson. The pronunciation, don't worry about it. I'm not picky about it. If you're gonna try though,
do it right. Yes.
Do it right.
Tell us.
Or just say TFA, say, T money bags. I don't know, for Ways and Means. I don't you can just say T. It's all good. I'm a simple. I don't kill me if I say chick or girl. I'm a simple girl from West Africa, Cape Verde. I came when I was 10. My mom was already here. Then my uncle sent me in a plane by myself to reunite with my mom. 6 years later, and then finally I saw her at 10. I went to Academy. I lived in Academy Homes, best place on earth.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Now I grew up across the street.
What? If you know, you know.
In
If
Heath
you
Street.
know, you know.
You said you grew up in academies. I grew up in Heath Street, so we're just gonna leave that there. If you know, you know.
Listen, you want to say something? No. So,
I love you.
listen, I love you too. Grew up, just was nurtured and cultivated by my community. I shout out to Black women, Black African American women, specific to all the love and nurture and support you always give, and to me specifically. Went on just like maybe 5 years later, I had been like working. I wasn't documented. My mom wasn't in a financial situation to file for us. So saved money, got my brother and sister here. So sent my mom back home. She had a green card. She comes back with my brother and sister into the projects. Now finally we're like a family, starting over. I went on to I actually attended Snowden my freshman year because it was a guidance counselor who said, you don't need to go to exam school even though you passed. Go to Snowden because you don't know enough English. We can imagine who she was or how she was. But then end up taking the exam again at Snowden to go to O'Brien. I think they only allow you to go to O'Brien after that. And because I really loved math and graduated, still no green card. By then I had a family of my own, worked, would, pay like the extra fee as an international student to go to school. But then I would go like every other like 2 years when I saved money. One semester every 2 years. It was crazy.
Yep.
Um, and mind you, like when you're undocumented, you're not qualified for anything. You're just working and you're paying for everything out of pocket. You're not getting government help. It's not like that, people. But I'm proud of my experiences. I'm very fortunate. I feel like I have an advantage of being Black, of having those experiences, of coming from Academy homes. And eventually became a citizen 2019, ran for office 2020, got inaugurated 2021. So here I am with you, working. I'm a mother of two sons. I would like to say three, four, my stepsons as well, but also a foster mom and at some point, and we can get into that. Thank you so much for having me, and I'm so excited to be here with you, Jimmy.
I'm glad to have you here, and we're probably going to go a little bit over time depending on your schedule. And so, Counselor, you got inaugurated. You went in. I was public at that time. Counselor designate Laura came on, and I had some concerns about, city council president, the committees, if you remember a couple of years ago. But you landed in Ways and Means, and you said one of the names that we could call you was T Moneybags, which I'm so done. That experience of you being the first Black woman to oversee Ways and Means. And so for folks that don't know, Ways and Means is what? What is it?
Ways and Means is the committee that oversees the entire city budget, capital, and operation. The difference with the charter amendment, a charter, as you know, collection of laws and codes for the city. And whenever you pass an ordinance or a city law, it goes into the charter. There was an amendment to a law that said that the council and the mayor would share powers in the budget. And there are very specifics. It's 50-50 supposedly. There are specifics on how to do it, how to execute it. And so I was not only the first Black woman to chair Ways and Means, but also the first counselor to execute it with the amendment.
Also, you had a two, and also when you went in, what participatory budgeting didn't kick in until fiscal year 23, correct? Because
Correct.
you had that element now that comes in too, to where I'm sure you appreciate that portion as well. And so, how historic is that, Counselor? I often say if you want something fixed, put a Black woman on it. How has it been handling the budget with the city?
Well, shout out to Lydia Edwards, the Black woman who I would say co-led or spearheaded the amendment to the charter. You always have to pay dues when it's due, and Lydia is brilliant. And her and community advocates, not advocates but organization. I'm sorry if I forget the name of the organization. We could look it up and put it up later. But anyway, they joined forces. I think Julia Mejia and also Kenzie Bach was on this filing, and eventually they got it on the ballot and it got passed. It's historic because typically I think, or not think, but historically, the mayor and the council basically makes negotiations, like they have conversations about their priorities in the district or where their priorities are if you are at large. And so it wasn't transparent where you actually filed or put out proposals for amendments, budget amendments on the floor. So basically you want to change the budget says, for example, there's $8 million in this department, and then you look at it and you're like, well, last year you spent 5 million. You're talking about increasing capacity with $2 million. You're not going to be able to hire 2 million in 1 year. So I think I'll take 1 million of that extra 2 million and I'll move it into another department
That has a greater need or needs more staff
that
or
has a
resources.
greater need,
Yep.
in our opinion, or collection of information. And so we ended up, you end up putting this, you making this amendment and or proposing the amendment. Then you need 7 votes to pass the budget with the amendments. The mayor's proposed budget, now amended, 7 votes to pass it. It goes back to the mayor. The mayor looks at it and she says, they're bugging. This is too much. Or this is, or you know what? I actually like this one. And then she says, yay or nay. And that's a veto if she says no.
Right.
When she says no, then we need 9 votes to override,
Her
to
veto.
veto her veto.
Based on your version, the city council's version of the budget.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so then with 9 votes, then you can override. But if you don't get to 9, then her vetoed version, her version of accepting amendments or not, or not, or adding even more stuff. Sometimes she'll say, you know what, I forgot about that part. Like, it's there are different things that can be changed last minute. And then if we don't get to 9 votes, she wins. If we get to 9, then it's our version.
Okay. Thank you for doing that 101, because I think it's important for people to understand that process, the historical context of you being the first of Ways and Means. Shout out to our now senator and the other counselors, Mejia, Bach, and you named one other one. Well, the senator that was a part of getting that passed. And so that is a huge accomplishment. I have to ask you, counselor, what have the last couple of years been like policy wise? Got a lot of things done, changing, calling for equity. I often see your transparency or you citing lack of transparency sometimes in the chamber or in the dealings of, what I used to be on the other side of 5. So we used to call y'all the other side of 5, but y'all may call, the admin now the other side of 5. How have the past 2 years been, considering everything that you've endured? This is a safe, organic space, counselor.
And let me put it this way. It has been everything you see in the movies, in the TV shows, everything you imagine politics is. It is. It's true.
Okay.
There are backdoor deals. It's very transactional. Relationships are required in order for you to make impact. And the way that I see it, well, not always. There's more than one way of skinning a cat, right? So, the relationships are important, I should say. So what I would say my experience has been is that I've been my version of leading or government is to create engagement and to properly help people assimilate to uh, what is economically integrated. For example, we're not a community if we're not economically integrated. You just don't have access. You don't understand or don't have the platform. You're not afforded the platform to properly navigate resources. This means that then you're removed from that. And oftentimes, as you see, even though a small concentrated population then goes into this isolated type of living in the Black market where they resort to alternative ways of making money.
I love the way that you frame that, alternative ways of making. Yes, ma'am. It's real.
Yes. It's real. It's real. And although, like, and we can get into research and numbers and stuff like that, but we know that our unemployment rates are more on the outskirts of Boston, in the suburbs.
Yep.
That's where that is the highest. However, when you look at specifically in demographics of Black men and boys in the youth population, then it's stupidly high. Like, it's crazy. And so when I think about that, my entire mission has been obviously to prioritize the most vulnerable. And that means then that I wanted to help people to assimilate to the economic mobility and market that is available to that should be available to all of us in order for us to properly become a community. I looked at I decided to revamp the entire constituent service program and database in the District 7 office. I ended up just building a database, in partnerships. I hired a software, full stack software engineer. And to do a database, the website's coming out, that the district app will be the first district to have an app.
District 7 will have its own app?
Yes, District 7 will have its own app. And then, we'll have a full database.
D7?
It's called Boston D7 because somebody locked in D7. Can y'all stop doing that?
They locked down the domain?
They locked D7. They locked District 7. Like, can y'all stop? Can y'all stop?
And charging like $10,000 to get stopped.
Exactly. I don't have that.
That shows how valuable D7 is.
Exactly. But just to speed that answer along, my experience has basically mostly been, collecting an inventory of District 7's assets. I did that with Northeastern to understand exactly what the deficits are.
Okay.
And then I worked with it's a program in Northeastern where they have like grad students, policy students work with people or officials. And we basically took an inventory. We did an asset mapping. Then we looked at deficits. And then we said, we need a master plan in development and economics and how to fight displacement, commercial housing and climate displacement in District 7. And so I've been trying to build relationships with the administration and then, of course, asking the community by creating an advisory council to support me in figuring out what policies District 7 needed, right? Comparing it, like doing comparative analysis with data, but also looking at policies that already existed, and then looking at that and saying what projects, what policy, what specific development does District 7 needs in order to build or to contribute to our quality of life. So doing that and navigating that and doing my being in community, doing my tours. I do church tours, school tours, nonprofit tours, and senior homes tours. And then I built different coalitions: Youth Coalition, Islamic Coalition, Hispanic or Latinx Coalition, the African American and the Elderly Coalition. And so all of that gave me listening sessions to listen to the people. These experiences have proved that, one, I'm probably a workaholic and I don't mind it. I love this. I actually love this job. But two, that you do have to build relationships and you have to treat people with integrity. But my experience has proved that unless you are fully transactional in the way that the administration or any sitting mayor, nothing to Michelle Wu, any sitting mayor wants.
By charter, it's by Boston Park.
It is what it is. It's a mayor strong city and now becoming a mayor strong council. We'll talk about that later. And then you see that, in order to get things done, you're either really good at grassroots organizing, so you create transparency with the people on the ground, with the advocates, with the academia and clergy, and then you get the word out and you become powerful, but also you need social capital, or you build relationships and you're fully transactional and you become a rubber stamp and you can get things done. That is what my experience has shown me about politics.
Where with that counselor do you hope to go with because Boston politics is
in the middle,
in the middle, a moderate in the middle to get things done. Boston politics is changing. It hasn't changed yet. So unfortunately, it's part of the game. You've been in it. You see it. You don't like some of it. You've been very public about it, but At the end of the day, as long as your ethics aren't compromised, you get things done. So you're going to land in the middle. What can we see from you? What can we hope to expect from you besides the Boston D7 app? Do we see continued advocacy? Let's talk about your advocacy in the LGBTQ plus community. That talk about how long you've been doing that, and it's not just seasonal during the election season.
Well, I mentioned I attended Snowden, so I don't know if people know, but at Snowden, um, I would say that the LGBTQ community in high school, I forget what year that was.
Set the trend for the SGAs that
94. That they were the champions to bringing out the underground, to bringing out the ballrooms, to bringing out the queens. And so there I frequented with, those were my friends.
Yep.
And I frequented with that population. And then when I was old enough, I was at Machine. I was,
I don't know nothing you talking about, counselor. Nothing.
Sure. Sure. Listen, I did I mention I have a photographic memory? I should say pictorial, because I remember everything I see. So anyway, we won't talk about it.
We did see each other at an event. Okay, so
We
counselor, back to the business at hand. Talk about your that
So my advocacy
capital informs your advocacy.
At some point, after working in public health for more than a couple of decades, I opened a little shop. I thought, let me just do something light. Not, public health is a lot. After 23 years of working in that, I was like, oh, I should open a boutique and, try something different. And I did really well. I also started sewing. I started exploring sewing. YouTube taught me sewing. And I would do fashion shows to that's mental health infused, or I would say thematic skits that would teach people about mental health or learning to cope, coping mechanisms through performance arts. And there I would engage women of all different influences.
Yep.
And that is how I would advocate for expression and freedom and love and human rights for all. Jeez.
It's so, and I want to get ready. We have a few minutes. One thing that I just noticed, that you didn't give me policy. You didn't give me Jimmy. I went to the parade. If folks were listening, by the natural organic formation of these relationships, it informs advocacy. And Gabe, you sound like a amen corner over there. You was in church yesterday, huh?
Yes.
So because I heard it, you were like, that wasn't a that was a that's the okay, counselor, your team is going to get me. They would be like, you were too casual with you.
Muslims say amen too, right?
Yeah, amen. And but listen, I want to get to something you said about your Muslim advisor group, humanity. I wanted to end with this, but I think it's appropriate now. Counselor, there is so much going on in the world, different opinions, responses to how folks should protect themselves, zero tolerance and whatnot. But at the end of the day, can you speak to our humanity, local Boston politics, national politics? To me, there's one thing that's a commonality, and that's our humanity. Counselor, with all that I just named, you're very aware, being a woman of Muslim belief, a lot is going on in the Middle East. Where are we? How should we be operating as human beings?
Thank you for asking that question. I do want an opportunity to talk about my policy, if that's okay with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Because there's a lot of good work happening, and I wasn't aware of that. I'm so sorry for my short sight. I thought we were here for an hour, but if it's a half hour, then let me speed it up.
Yes, ma'am.
In terms of our humanity, I think that everyone in the world experiences their evolutionary process. And with that, we're not very patient with one another. We are where we our paradigms haven't shifted to a point of um, where we reserve our own resolve, our judgment, where we are patient enough to be compassionate, where we are compassionate enough to have changed our character, where we have changed our character enough to have wisdom, where our wisdom is second nature,
Hmm.
and therefore completely on a subconscious level, that we are graceful and forgiving to one another. And I think that because of this, because we are so poor or so bad at with the unknown, we continue to forget the lessons that we've learned. And so even if we at some point, America wasn't always with the Jews, right? America wasn't saying stop the Holocaust immediately not too long ago. And so it's not surprising to see again that we as human beings, not just Americans, but that we as human beings everywhere, some of us are not able to say that's wrong.
Yep.
We should not kill innocent children, kill women or men, right? We don't hear
Period.
a lot about the men. And so I think that in our humanity, I would say not only do we have so much more work to do and that we haven't evolved as much as we think we have, but that our society, our political society, has taught us to be depraved or deprived.
Mhm.
And so whether we are quiet because we feel it's ineffective to speak up. So, and because I'm a politician, to preserve my advancements, to not leverage what I could gain, um, then we will be quiet. But it's not that. It's not that I'm leveraging. It's not that I'm a coward. That's harsh, right? Like, and when I say it, people, that word is so harsh. And it's not that I'm saying to you, oh, you're just a punk. I'm saying to you that in your hearts of hearts, on a subconscious level, that you haven't developed that compassion and patience and wisdom to understand that you are not losing by standing up for what is right, and that it's in God's hands, and eventually, doing what is right is how you win, right? With the higher power. But it's too esoterical, it's too whimsical for people to grasp at firsthand. And then when I do this double entendres, when I speak in these like philosophical ways, it's not always the best presentation for politics. And so sometimes people miss me, they misinterpret. And
Mhm.
even the media, I mean, as I said the other day on Twitter, like the Herald's going to start saying that Taylor Swift is having an alien baby. Like they're tabloids. It's ridiculous. If I come out and say I'm against killing innocent children, and no Muslim is a Muslim if they're killing people, no Jews is a true Jew if they're a prayerful, righteous Jewish person if they're killing innocent people, no Buddhist is an innocent person if they're killing Muslims. That is across the board.
Yes.
But no Christian is rightly Christian if Congolese are starving. Um, and this is what people take. They take these sound bites, they create clickbaits, and they just want a story.
Counselor.
And it's not always about me, right? It's about, well, what about my colleagues? Why aren't they speaking? Why aren't they saying anything? And in your emotions, you want to say to them, you want to shake them up. Hey, Mayor Wu or Senator Warren or Ed Markey or Governor Healy or all of my council colleagues except Julie Mejia are, you want to shake them up and say something, because you are a leader. You are in a position to be able to say something. However, still, I don't judge them. It is it's hard, and it's such a hard world. It's such a depraved society, whereas you do have to feed your young, you have to pay your bills, you have to preserve your life, your own life. And so if you are climbing because you say, if I say something now, and I lose relationships, but the bigger picture is to do something bigger
for the community.
for the community, then I better shut up and stay mayor. Then I better shut up and stay senator or counselor and not say anything. So it's not that people are oblivious to why or why not, right? They're taking their position. It's that we as a society have to continue to be patient with one another and understand this on a deeper level without pointing fingers.
With
They didn't say anything, but I'm not going to throw them away.
That's right.
They didn't say anything, but I'm not going to say, you're no good. That is only one part of them. And hopefully we are patient with each other's evolutionary process, and that hopefully extends forgiveness. And one day, maybe one day, people's paradigms would have shifted to the point where they automatically do the right thing.
Yep.
But who am I? I'm not qualified to come out and say, you should, you better, you need to. All I can do is encourage people to say, look, this is a horrible thing. We were here 50, 70, 100, 200 years ago, 400 years ago. We were in the same place. Please be in the right side of history.
Counselor, you just unpacked a little bit there, and we do have our at-large candidate who's crossing over with you in a couple of seconds. I'm going to bring him on so y'all can greet each other. But one passion policy, your number one policy that you want to get achieved in the next 2 years, and then we're going to bring Henry in so y'all can say hello. One passion policy that you, if you can get nothing else done in the next 2 years, what will it be?
I know, right? One would be, I don't know if you guys know, I'm the one who created the rent to own program. So the RFP's out because Councilor Anderson
created the rent to own.
Yes,
home ownership, rent to own.
Yes. So we have to stop doing housing without home ownership.
Yep.
It's futile. It's just fluff if we're doing this affordable rental without home ownership.
Getting into wealth. Yep.
If we don't ground people in homes where they can liquidate assets, pass down generational wealth, close the wealth gap, and figure it out, and other means, right? We're talking a whole financial portfolio and how to do that. Mm-hmm. You want to be able to solidify people's, way of life, their home. And that's where we have to start. So rent to own is definitely my passion policy. But there is another one, that I wanted to mention.
Yep.
We need to create a digital marketplace trust. All small businesses should go in the digital marketplace. We should be competing with Amazon. We should look at,
businesses in Boston to kind of
LA has a digital marketplace for all their wholesalers. And basically it's an online thing and it's a trust. They all own a piece of it. But on that online digital marketplace, people shop. But you also have a back office for technical assistance. And that's the component that I'm adding. Okay. And I'm trying to work with Shagun, Chief Udawu, with this. Okay. Hopefully our Be Local is not just a silly app that you just look up list of stores.
Get discounts, yeah.
But that it's a digital marketplace where small businesses in Boston can compete with the digital market world.
I'm not mad at that. Counselor, I hate this. I wish we did have the whole hour. Our time is short. Be sure to get me any links or policy. The website, let at least folks know where to go if they want to sign up to help between tonight and tomorrow. www.TANIA4 or
Boston.
Number 4 or FOR?
No, just spelled out for Boston, Tania4Boston.com.
Okay.
There you can email, reach out to me. Tania4Boston@gmail is my email.
Okay.
And reach out to me, and I look forward to connecting more and keep doing the work.
I want to, I didn't give you a time to tap into some other things. And I think it may have worked out better that you didn't have to speak to a lot of the other things you've had to endure on a personal level being a politician. And so we just want to, you all in the comments, send the counselor strength and encouragement. I have been very vocal about my support. So I'm saying that I'm supporting Counselor Anderson in District 7 as well. Didn't change the address. So I think I'm going to have to exercise my right in my old district. But counselor, I appreciate you. We're going to bring in and I you know, I know as candidates and whatnot, I'm just going to bring in someone that, you know, presumably shares a lot of the same values and stuff as you. And so y'all can go ahead and greet each other. Then we're going to talk to our candidate for Boston City Council at large, Henry Santana. But Henry, greet the counselor, and then y'all can love on each other for 2 seconds, and then we're going to talk with Henry.
Good morning, counselor. Good morning. I was listening in the great conversation that you had here with Jimmy, and I grew up in the counselor's district. I grew up in Alice Taylor. My family still lives there, and I've loved the work that you do on behalf of our district in Roxbury.
Well, good morning, Henry. All the best of luck to you. I know the feeling of first-time candidate. I think you got this. I think you got this in the bag. Shout out to Henry Santana right here in your receiving his flowers in person.
Yes.
Vote for Henry Santana. Vote for Julia Mejia. Vote for Rudy Lujan. Looking forward to working with you, Henry. Best of luck to you.
What's one thing that you would say to him on a self-care level, counselor, for him to prepare for the next few hours and into tomorrow from a self-care standpoint, from a mental health standpoint?
From a mental health standpoint, I would say be kind to yourself. And when things feel that you are less than reaching it, understand that you are more than enough and you are the best qualified to be here right now. If not, God wouldn't have allowed it. Here you are doing amazing things, putting yourself on the line to run for office. It is courageous. I applaud you. I'm very proud of you, young man, and I'm looking forward to working with you. I've heard so many good things about you. You know, we talk sometimes, but we haven't talked enough. But by reading about you, I fully support you.
Thank you, counselor. That really means a lot. And we're, one day left. We're working towards it, but I'm hoping to be your colleague on the council and work together to on behalf of the residents and in particular D7 in Roxbury.
Absolutely. See you soon. Have fun with your conversation. Thank you.
Start off my Monday, all this love and yes. Counselor, thank you for being here, and thank you for all that you do and being a true champion, being transparent, and being your authentic self. We appreciate it and love you for it.
Thank you, and bring me back. Let's talk.
Oh, you need to get ready to come back on January. What's the first Tuesday after the inauguration in January?
On my birthday.
Oh, we can throw a party.
It's January 4th. I hope to see you soon.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Folks, that was Tania Anderson, who's running for District 7. And now we have the pleasure of speaking with this great young man who I've seen in service, was a part of the Wu administration, very key in the community engagement cabinet. And then a few months later, and I was here. Okay, let's keep it 100. I was hearing little murmurings. Henry might run. And then all of a sudden, Henry's running. Henry, please, well, not counselor yet. To be formal, should I say candidate Santana?
Candidate. Thank you, Jimmy. What an honor. Thank you for bringing me back and allowing me to be here. Love your platform. Love what you've been able to do for our community, and just your work ethic. I see you working. I see you grinding, and just really, I really appreciate that.
Absolutely, sir. Let me just jump right in. You'll see it. Henry hasn't seen this side of Jimmy too. Well, he has a little bit, but why are you running? Why are you running? What about being an at-large counselor you believe brings, or what about your experience or story? Or maybe, you know what, let me back up. What's your story? Tell us your story, and that will maybe inform then a little bit of why you're running. Like, who is Henry Santana?
So I think many people know my story. I was born in the Dominican Republic, right? Came to Boston at a young age. Proud product of public housing. Grew up in Alice Taylor BHA apartments where my mom still currently resides. And I'm a city kid. I'm a true city kid. I'm a product of our public schools. I'm a product of our public housing. I'm a product of our after school programs, our summer programs. And I've dedicated my life to public service. I've started in Mission Hill, where the Mission Hill summer program, where I was a camper for 8 years, a junior counselor for 4, a senior counselor for 2, and director for 2. And really grew up through that program, from a camper all the way to being director.
Literally.
And that really founded me and our youth, really passionate for our education. And throughout those years, got exposed to, I wanted to be David Ortiz. I always say that I wanted to be hitting home runs out of Fenway Park. And
Can you play? Can
yeah,
you
I could hit. I could hit. um, and being exposed to people like Tito Jackson, and Jeffrey Sanchez,
Yes.
in 7th and 8th grade, right? A black man, serving a Latino man, serving as a chair Ways and Means in the State House, right?
Yes.
Someone who looked like me, spoke the same languages as me, right? That gave me, a different pathway. I said, this is something that they're serving, they're in community, and that's something that I really saw myself, something that I can do, because I saw that representation when I was in 7th and 8th grade. And from there, I was a city council aide after graduating from college, for Kenzie Bach. I helped her get elected, and then served in her district office as a director of operations and Mission Hill Fenway liaison. And then, had the opportunity to join Mayor Wu and her historical administration as the inaugural director of civic organizing for the city of Boston. And have just been able to not just work in Mission Hill in my district, right? Because I started Mission Hill and then started working in my district, and then had an opportunity to work with all 23 neighborhoods across the city. And that really just got to learn about the different neighborhoods, got to interact with community leaders across the city, but also got to connect with residents, right? And we shared, just growing up in public housing, living paycheck to paycheck, but always valuing education, always just trying to be civically engaged and get involved in community. Those are the stories of so many across the city, and I got to see our most vulnerable residents. I got to help our most vulnerable residents with access to resources, and just wanted to do more. I right now, as a young candidate, running in this race,
How old are you?
I'm 28 years old. I just turned 28. And someone who's recently been in the BPS classrooms, who's a renter in Dorchester right now, trying, wanting to be a homeowner one day, right? Wanting to raise a family here. I'm really focused on representing the next generation. So I really care about our BPS schools. I really care about affordable housing here. Housing is a human right, and I really care about our public safety. Right, like it feels like we've read so many 13-year-old, 14-year-old, who playing in a park, doing this, and like we've lost to violence, to gun violence, and we've almost like sort of normalized this activity. And I really want to run to really protect our youth, really protect our families, protect our residents, and put policies in place, collaboratively with the rest of the counselors like TFA, to really protect our residents here in the city of Boston.
Candidate Henry, with all due respect, I'll be honest with you. This is an area in which I move, and unfortunately, during this whole trail of the campaign, from my memory, I haven't heard everybody. I'm going to say this: I haven't heard everybody. I haven't been to every caucus meeting and every town hall and things like that. But I'm in communication with a few and see stuff. You're the first one that I heard articulate this issue with public safety and violence. And so I appreciate you naming that. We know that folks like you and I are look like us. We're the most impacted by that. And so one thing I want to ask you, you spoke to, if you all didn't figure out why he's running, then put it in the comments if you want me to ask that particular question, but we heard why he's running. Let me ask you, you talk about representation matters. We know that in District 5, we had a Latino male counselor. Him now not being in the vying, you are vying not only to be an at-large counselor, but in addition to Councilor Mejia, I believe she is the only one that identifies as a Afro-Latina. You now will also hopefully successful, because there's the balance of not being too, as a politician, don't be too confident and then just wait till the numbers start coming in. But how important is that representation of the Afro-Latino voice on the council?
Absolutely, it's very important. And I, shout out to Julia Mejia, You know, she's the first Latina, first Dominican, and at large. And without a first, it can't be a second, right? And you know, she's done incredible work. You know, representing our communities. You know, it's very important. Like I mentioned to you, even growing up, you know, I identify as Dominican. You know, I'm Dominican. I'm also a black man, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think, you know, it's hard to find representation in that. And like even earlier, I told you I found two men, right? Tito Jackson, a black man, Jeffrey Sanchez,
Yep.
right? And you know, I had the honor of having both of them in my school at the same time and got to see that. But I had to find it in two different people to find that representation, right? And I mean, right now, there's only been, you know, two black men who have represented the city of Boston at large. And I often say, you know, that is not because of the lack of black excellence here in the city of Boston, but because of the lack of, you know, opportunities and resources offered to us at times. And I really feel like I got lucky, Jimmy. Like, you know, I got lucky being able to be in a community, you know, land in a community like Mission Hill, who really took on my family and really opened up their resources. You know, I should say, you know, I don't believe in luck. I believe in when you can work hard to create luck, right? But then, you know, being able to land in an office like Kenzie Bach, who allowed me to, you know, put me in spaces, but also allowed me to mess up and grow, right? And you know, had the opportunity to then join Mayor Wu, right, in a position where I was serving all communities across the city of Boston. And I want to be able to, you know, these opportunities, these jobs, these resources are often not you know, available in communities like the ones I was raised. And I want to make sure that, you know, that is no longer the story, that, you know, all of these resources, the ample amount of resources that we have here in the city of Boston are distributed across all the neighborhoods, across all residents equally. And I'm definitely going to make sure that that happens if given the opportunity to represent this city that raised me.
One of the I just got a text. I'm not going to say who it was, but you know who you are. I had the opportunity last week to ask you a question about a lot of buzz that's going around about the fact that they're on record you have not voted before. Can you please explain to the people and this energy isn't directed toward the person that just texted me. They were sincere. You didn't feel well at one of the last forums, and they sincere. I know this person, but some of the folks are just. Can you tell us, sir, why? And I can't wait for you to say it publicly if you haven't already, why you didn't vote.
Yeah, no, and I think this is right. I think this is, even before I answer, I think this is a valid question that you know, should have. So,
yep.
And it's something that I've been public about. I mean, right? I mentioned, you know, I was born in the Dominican Republic and came to Boston at a young age. Was a permanent resident, you know, for most of my life. And when my mom had the opportunity to become an American citizen, right before I was 18, you know, through the law, her children will become American citizen, and that's what ended up happening. So in the system, it looks like I became an American citizen, but you know, because of loss of a birth certificate due to her came back in the Dominican Republic, and lack of paperwork. I then had to, you know, I actually didn't get my citizenship there. I had to go do my own citizenship process, and
When did that complete? When did that complete, Henry?
It took a long time, and it just finished this. You know, I finally got my certificate of American citizenship this past year, which is where you know, which is when I, you know, went and registered to vote. So this is not, you know, this is, I mean, for many immigrants who, you know, who come to this country and who go through the immigration system, you know, this is a story of many. It's a lot of, you know, resources, a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, a lot of money, and you're going through loopholes. And as someone, you know, a family who, you know, grew up not knowing the language and having to learn the language, having to make, you know, the connections like everyone else. It's a complicated process, and you know, now that I'm on the other side, I'm a proud American citizen, and you know, it's just a testament to, you know, just so many, you know, this is just the stories of so many. So it is not because I didn't want to vote, you know, like and I know that's the thing out there, like, oh, he wasn't interested in voting, or you know, whatever the case may be. In fact, you know, this motivated me to do more. This motivated me to think outside the box. How can you become civically engaged without being able not being able to have the right to vote. I mean, not doing jury duty. And I found different ways of, helping support small businesses, visiting my local parks in my community, serving children, being a mentor for our community, and like just different ways of serving and being different ways of being civically engaged. And that was my journey. And again, I'm a proud American citizen now, after years and years of paperwork, meetings, you name it, applications, money, and I know that as this is something that many residents across the city, many immigrant families, have to go through.
I don't want to presume that that would be a top policy priority for you on your platform and running and then going into office. But what is the number one policy that you're passionate about? Your first speech on the floor. What will it be about? What is the one thing you want to get over the line in your first term?
Yeah, so I think I meant, right, I really want to be representative of the next generation that's coming, right? Like that's something.
How?
And because of that, I really care about housing affordability, right?
Okay.
Right now. And so I care about housing affordability, and I care about, our BPS schools, and I really care about public safety. So because I care, I really want to be representative of the next generation. Those are the three issues that, I really want to take on. But as a product who grew up in public housing, Alice Taylor BHA apartments, right? Like, I understand, the stability that really gave my family and I, to not just stay here in the city of Boston, but really thrive here in the city of Boston. It gave us access to our BPS schools, gave us access to our libraries, our public parks, you name it. But I also understand the restrictions it has, right? I often say, like, my dad, he was the one working, making an income at home, made $40,000 to support a family of 6, right? And when he had the opportunity to go and make $65K, he had to make the decision between taking this new job that paid him more, but then also losing the public housing, right? And it was like it didn't make sense, right? It's a raise, but paying market value at a rent for a family of 6 just wasn't manageable. And so I understand those restrictions that that public housing has. So I also want to be able to work on how to create more pathways, and like true pathways for people who come from public housing, who come from subsidized housing, who come from low income communities, to really straight pathways to home ownership. And that's really addresses when we're talking about the wealth gap that we're seeing here in the city of Boston. Of a white family, $250,000 to a black family was $7 to a Hispanic family, I think was like $3, right? Like, we're talking about home ownership there. So right now, as a renter whose rent went up $450 last year, my salary sure did not go up $400,
especially running now.
Exactly. Like I said, I wanna buy a home. I want to raise a family. I want to have kids. I want to send my kids to BPS. And as I've navigated this, I don't know how I'm going to do it. It's becoming incredibly difficult. And this is why I wanted to run, right? Wanted to be able to be part of these policies. Wanted to bring in, our youth and our young professionals into the conversation as we're navigating, these different things that we want to be able to accomplish here in the city of Boston. So it's very important to me. Public housing is going to be an area where I'm definitely going to be able to really want to focus on. Really want to focus on how do we bring communities together? How do we make sure that we're building more units across the city? Proud to be endorsed by former Councilor Kennedy Bach, who's my former boss, but now leading the BHA apartments, right, as the administrator over there.
That intersectionality is crazy.
It really is, but it really excites me.
Yeah.
We know we have someone there that really cares, and someone again who grew up in it, who my mom is still there. This is an area that I definitely want to be able to prioritize.
Got you. If you get when you get elected, you will be the youngest serving counselor in this cohort.
Correct. I believe so. I don't think there.
I think you are. I'm not sure about. Is it Carletta? I'm not sure. You can ask you, but you can't ask the women their age. That's
I'm younger than her. Not by a lot.
You fix it. You're doing well, brother. You did well right there. No, in all seriousness, what do and the person, I'll go ahead and put her out there because her spirit was pure. Valid. Thank you for answering. Good luck tomorrow. And again, her spirit was pure in asking that versus some of the folks.
Absolutely.
Thank you for validating that question when it's away from just mess. But what do you hope to accomplish? You talked about housing, you talked about public safety, and you talked about education. You being the youngest person serving, how do you feel the weight? Because there is a lot of concern about retaining those here that graduate from college. There's Kareem that's working on her Night Czar stuff. There's Sheena and them in Boston Wild Black. You kind of identifying as that youngest is going to put a lot of pressure on you to get a lot of things through, like, bringing some version back of happy hour to set up to the state house. There's some other things going on with the whole nightlife thing. Are you ready for that pressure of being sort of the, not even millennial? Who's after millennials? Is it the IJ? Who's after millennials?
I think I consider myself a millennial. No.
Henry, but how are you going to handle that pressure? Because even if folks didn't think about it, I just named it right here. Like you will be that person that folks are going to lean on to introduce certain stuff just because they presume because you're the younger one that you'll push it through. And in all validness, you understand. Thank you. Ed said Gen Z. So you're going to be the Gen Z for us old heads that still want to party a little bit too. That's a lot of pressure. You ready for that?
Yeah, and I don't see it as pressure, Jimmy. I mean, I think again, I'm like, I knew what I signed up for when I decided to run, when
Yep.
I decided to run at large, when I decided to run at this age. So um, this is something that again they're important to me. I want to be able to enjoy our city. I want our families to be able to enjoy our city. I want our elderly, community
Mhm.
in our city, and that means I want our immigrant communities to find spaces here in the city of Boston where where we all feel comfortable. It's about creating space for everyone, right?
Mm.
And again, as someone who's already been in City Hall as a City Council aide, as someone who's already been in the in a leadership position in the mayor's administration. I've built relationships with department heads, with not just the heads, but people working in departments across the whole city. And that's one thing that I have these relationships. And like to think that I know how to get things done. So and work together with people. I'm a collaborative person. I'm an organizer at heart. All the people you mentioned already, I've worked with them, right? We collaborated together. And being now hopefully in this position as an at-large city council, how do we bring, it's a bigger platform with more resources,
Mhm.
and how do we amplify a lot of the work that's already being done? Like, Gina and Boston Wild Black has, done some tremendous work to create black spaces for our communities, right? And how do we give more resources to that, right? So and not just that organization, but there's ample amount of organizations and people who are doing that work, and I want to be able to just as hopefully if elected, bringing up
If when go ahead.
as someone, I want to say, as someone who came like again from like nothing, right? There's always uh, there's a grind to it, right? There's a grind. I enjoy the process. I love the work. I love the process. And tomorrow's election day, right? I don't take, so I hope people come out to vote. I hope all communities across the city of Boston get out to vote. It's very important. And you have someone here who in me who's going to really work hard on behalf of the residents. I often, I already mentioned I resigned from my position with the mayor's office of director of civic organizing in April to really commit to my to this campaign, right? But I still have to pay my bills at the end of the month. I still have to pay Wi-Fi at the end of the month and my bill, right? And my
How
rent.
do you separate Wi-Fi from
They all different. They all hit differently, right? And I had to pick, because of that, I had to pick up an overnight shift, right? I've been working overnights, starting 4 to 5 days a week. And now, as we're leading up to election day, 2 to 3 nights a week, and campaigning during the day. and then finding pockets of hours throughout the day to to rest, right, and eat. And I say that all to say is that that's a type of work ethic that I'm going to bring onto the council. That's a type of work ethic that residents should expect and deserve from the city councilor. And as someone again who's been doing the work, I mean, I'm working overnights, but this is a story of many residents across the city.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 3 jobs to just make bare ends meet, to pay the rent at the end of the month, to put food on the table, right? Like you have someone in me who's really part of the community, who understands the most vulnerable residents, but then also understands how to navigate City Hall as someone who's already been in there. And I think I bring a unique and qualified professional experience and lived experience onto this council. And really want to be able to really go in there and work with the rest of the colleagues and the council to really get things done and work hard on behalf of the city of Boston.
2 things before we get ready to wrap up. The first one is, I'm sure you've observed that, the council of late in votes and a lot of commentary, issues of race have come up a lot. And it's a factor in tomorrow. I've been very vocal about some of my concerns about the changing of Boston and what tomorrow can do or not do. How do you approach race as one who identifies as a Black man that speaks Spanish, that operates and that has operated in systems and structures that were not really built for our greatest success? How will you bring equity into the council?
Yeah, I think again, since someone who identifies as the Dominican immigrant, as a Black man who grew up here in the city of Boston, and even like I was one of those people that like I didn't have to navigate even with I didn't really have white people up until like 8th grade. Like I navigated the city of Boston. My teachers growing up were bilingual, and my classmates were Black and brown students. This is something that's very important, and something that we really need to be intentional about. I think tomorrow, I hope that people have followed the race, have followed the different candidates. I think we have an opportunity to, we have 2 different, like you mentioned. Are we going to continue to invest and see in the new Boston, that is going to invest in equity, or are we going to move backwards, right? And to our old habits, to our old ways. I think that's a decision that people have tomorrow. I hope that people do their own research on just the field. But I'm representing, how do we move forward, right? How do we continue to build the coalitions of leaders that we have here in the city of Boston? How do we bring all people across all neighborhoods at the table at the decision making? And that's what I'm representing. And I hope, again, I urge people to do their own research if you haven't. But tomorrow you have a clear choice, and I believe I'm that clear choice of who we want to represent the entire city of Boston, and someone who's going to work collaboratively with everyone, and someone who already has a track record of doing that, right? And I believe there's a clear choice, and I urge people to vote, Henry Santana as your next Boston City Councilor at large, number 2 on the ballot.
Do you believe Black Lives Matter?
Absolutely.
Why did you laugh? For folks that don't know why he laughed, I'll tell them after.
I would say that's for that's for you to. Absolutely, Black Lives Matter, right? And again, we need more Black representation. I already named the historical the history of this race, but Black lives do matter. And I'm committed to bringing Black voices across the city at the table, part of the decision making. And I'm a proud Black man, a proud Dominican immigrant of the city of Boston, and I love this city. But we need to move forward, and that's a decision that I hope Boston voters across the city make tomorrow.
I'm gonna push back on one little thing as we get ready to go into my last question. This is a good question. I know you know this brother here, Dante Luna. What's your favorite comic book? And then we're going to talk about this little work ethic and self-care. Then I'm gonna let you go. Favorite comic book?
I must Favorite comic book.
Dante, you know they didn't have comic books. We a little bit older. Y'all
I'm
may
going
have not had comic books.
I don't even want to say the wrong. I wasn't a comic book reader.
Y'all didn't have comic. Dante, you just told your age right there. What is your favorite, I don't know, anime or cartoon or video game?
I don't. I mean, video game, absolutely 2K. I'm a big 2K guy. I love MLB. I love my sports. That's all day, every day.
Okay. So you said a few minutes ago, and we're going to wrap up at this point here, that you're working 2 and 3 overnights and you're out campaigning and you're finding little pockets of rest, and you'll bring that work ethic into the council. For some, that's a little bit of a red flag, and we get it. I'm kind of messing with you, but I am serious. I know for when I heard you saying that, the first thing that popped in my head was self-care.
Absolutely.
And I worked for Menino, so I know that sort of 24, 25/8 work ethic of the hall. How do you balance in self-care, Henry, to ensure that you're your best self to represent us in your best manner? How will you ensure that you practice self-care with that work ethic?
Yeah, I think I want to touch on 2 points with this question.
Mhm.
I think me having to do this is it just there's barriers. There's many barriers to running for city council, as being a city employee, as a young person, as a Black man, and these are the barriers that we have to break through. To have more people who look like me, who speak the same language as me, in these positions to run. I want to break down those barriers, and this is why I've put this work ethic into it. I also want to answer your question.
You wasn't getting away.
Yeah, no. I have a great team, right? And it's about really having good people around you who believe in you, who work hard, and who prioritize also enjoying the process. Like I said, I love the process. I love working hard, but also that means enjoying and finding time for yourself and being away from everything. This is something that I practice, but I think I give all credit in order for me to be how I am today. Not sleep deprived and whatever, and still full of energy and ready to work. It's also because it's a testament to the team that I've been able to put around me. And as someone, again, who's been on campaigns, who's been around elected officials, I've seen it, right? I've seen what this can do to you, right? Yep. That's not an area where I want to go. I have a family who's been very, very supportive of my race, but who's also, packed some breakfast for me. Like just the other day, I had a big canvas. My sister got up very early in the morning, made me some eggs, made me some, I have a very good team and my campaign managers, my support system around me that
your campaign managers, he's if it's who I'm thinking of, he all right. No, I'm messing
with two, right? I have two.
Okay.
And they've both been great. Shout out to both Grace and Michael. But again, I think that's I give credit to the team that I have around me, and again, my experience of just having worked with on campaigns or being around elected officials of you learn what you want to do, what you don't want to do, what that what happens, and I definitely want to definitely make sure that people know that I am going to work hard, but I understand. But I'm also going to prioritize my mental health, and my well-being, so that way I can be my best self to serve everyone else.
You ended that well, because if you didn't put that last part on, I was going to tell you, Henry, you gave me a very political answer. All right, you wrapped up well with that. With the end of that, Henry, I want to tell you, as someone that's been in the city for 52 years and have only seen, probably I can count on both hands, viable men of color running for office, and then possessing that at-large seat. I'm proud of you, sir, and really thank you for coming. I mentioned in the beginning of the other folks, this is a paid advertisement. Thank you for investing in a small business.
It's an investment. It's not, yeah, of course. And again, I started by saying that, just love the work that you do for our communities.
It was my time to big you up and love on you. Don't start, brother. But no, in all seriousness, Henry, please stay encouraged, and don't give in to the fray and to the noise. and just stay focused tomorrow. As TFA said, stay focused, stay prayerful. We got a whole mother's board in here that y'all add Henry Santana to the prayer list in there. And Godspeed on tomorrow. And you did make me a promise that on Wednesday at 9 a.m. you would was it you or Cliff? Shoot. I think it was you.
Be careful, Jimmy.
I've been known to put folks on the spot on the show, but no, Wednesday morning, at least a call in at 9 o'clock, or if you can pop on the screen for a few minutes Wednesday morning, I would appreciate that. Before all these globe and big media outlets, remember the community outlet and your brother Java with Jimmy.
I got you. No, I appreciate the opportunity to be on here, and thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, Henry. Godspeed tomorrow, and I'll probably reach out and figure out where you're going to be at some point tomorrow. Maybe try to meet up with you real quick to just check in and do a quick interview.
Absolutely. I'll be around the whole city, so you'll catch me.
We know. Get it, brother.
Number 2 on the ballot. Thank you so much.
Henry Santana, number 2 on the ballot, folks. And where can folks go if they want to sign up at the last minute? What is the I should have had this. What is the website? I know we don't say www no more.
Yeah, henrysantana.com. If you can give an hour, if you can give 2 hours, whatever you can give, we would appreciate it. But most importantly, find your polling location and make a plan to vote tomorrow. Henry Santana, number 2 on the ballot.
I'm proud of you, Henry. Appreciate you, man. We'll be sure to follow up after that. I'll probably text you or something after. Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And I really enjoyed hearing this side of you as a candidate. I've seen the work, but it's been more casual. But as a candidate, seeing you just here present was definitely awesome, man. So good luck tomorrow. Godspeed, and we'll talk to you Wednesday morning.
Amen. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Listen, folks, you got 2 folks that came in this morning that are running for office here in the city of Boston, Tania Anderson for District 7, and also Henry Santana, who's running for at-large. Don't forget, I have named to you who I'm supporting for at-large: Julia Mejia, Henry Santana, Ruth C. Julianne. Also consider Clifton Breathwaite. And then for District 7, Tania Anderson. And I think that's it right now. All right, I'm getting off of here. UCB members, y'all get 90 minutes today. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Who is with me tomorrow morning? I just seen the flyer. Jesus. Hold on. I'm going to tell y'all in 1 minute. This is terrible. Tomorrow morning, with us in the Java Cafe is Corey McCarthy, Masters of Education. He is coming in. He is the Student Support Service Lead for Boston Public Schools. So Donna, Domingo, Yahida, all of them that come in, that move in advocacy, Pam, I'm sure as well. Come in tomorrow. We're going to have Corey McCarthy here from Boston Public Schools, the Student Support Service person. Also on Wednesday morning, the Davis system, Aaron and Anthony are coming in to chat with me about the results of the election. Don't forget, tomorrow night at, I'll say 8:30, 9 o'clock, we're going to start covering the election results. I have to put all the logistics together of who's going to be with me, and we'll let you know about that. All right, folks, that's it for me this morning. We will see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. speaking with Corey McCarthy of Boston Public Schools. Have a great day, everybody. Don't forget, Dr. Brandy is going to be back with us 2 weeks from today, checking in on November 20th. It is Mental Health Monday. So keep that in mind as well. And that is definitely it for me. Don't forget UCB, you get 90 minutes today. And we'll talk to you guys tomorrow at 9 a.m. Peace, everybody. Have a good day.